Welcome back, everybody. So here's the funny thing. 30% of home builders actually reduced their prices in January. Okay, that's a nationwide thing. Is that a local stat also? Hang on, we're going to find out. Okay, so there's a big difference between national stuff and what our local real estate market is doing. And that is why each and every week, come and watch us. There's no marketing. It's just solid metrics so you can make the best business decision possible. All right, we'll break this down into shorts for you also. That way it makes it just a little bit easier. We will also add timestamps if you want to just go back and revisit any one of the little excerpts. Let's call it that. Okay, so builders, as we know, builders do not like to change plat pricing because it affects everything that is in the past as far as prior sales. And then, of course, when we talk about downstream sales, depending on what they're doing, so they will offer different incentives instead. So when we take a look at this, home builder confidence actually has been on an uptick. And it's super important to understand that when we're talking about what's going on, with new construction, it is directly proportional to not only interest rates, but what resale inventory is actually on the market right now. In other words, when we were basically at like 2,700 homes instead of 8 to 12 to 18,000 homes at any one time, and as high as 24,000 homes during the late spring, summer. Hey, listen, when buyers have very little opportunity, buyers love it because they can just bring them in because, again, there's just not a lot of opportunity. And there are ways that they can pull buyers away from resale homes or existing homes, that I guess used homes, as some people like to say. We just call them resales. Okay, so when we take a look at the numbers, when we take a look at what they can do, well, resale homes have the same options. It's just new construction tends to have a little bit more flexibility as far as their marketing tactic because they need to then, as inventory goes up, they need to do more to bring those buyers in. All right, so if we come back here and we take a look at basically some metrics here, it says 30% of builders lowered prices in January. Most of the time, you're going to see a lowered price on newer plats. Really, they don't like to adjust prices on existing plats, especially if they've been, in process for a while, because either every week during really hot markets or every 2 weeks, because of holding costs, builders will increase incrementally their price to offset their holding costs. All right, getting back to this. So that is something that we've seen. It's also been a trend that we've seen in the last 6 months as far as some plats coming on at a lower price, creating more activity. That's just marketing 101, super smart. Average price reduction, it says 5% unchanged from last month. And so that's super interesting. I don't know how they arrive at that metric, but that is what a national report came through. And I believe that was through the, I don't think it was master builders, but anyway, sales incentives used on 60% of transactions, also in line with norms. And that is absolutely true because builders will, depending on what inventory is at, where interest rates are at, what is the absorption rate, how fast is the market taking, new construction off the market, they adjust those types of incentives. And in fact, instead of adjusting on price, they will adjust on incentives. And that's something that you don't see outwardly, which helps to maintain plat control. And that's a given. That's, again, just tactically smart. And people get to enjoy that benefit, whether it's a rate buy down, whether it's updates on the home, whatever it might be. That is just a smart tactical move. Again, to be clear, any seller, even on a resale home, can offer the same incentive. They just most of the time choose not to because that would be maybe a little bit too far out of the box. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There are different ways of doing that and other ways of basically taking a look at what can we or can we not do with certain markets. And we're going to get into the market, what's trending, what are we seeing, because, well, I'll give you a hint. It is just a tad bit different. All right. So let's jump back into our news. Home builder confidence consolidation continues. That's the upper left. Bottom left is mortgage applications improve even as rates moved higher. This is going to be important as we continue through and look at the metrics, because when we take a look at closed sales, both with the resale, with new construction, or even REOs, you're going to see that when we talk about solds, that's looking in the rearview mirror. That's what happened in December versus pended and active and new on market. That's dynamic. That's what's happening right now. Keep that in mind as we keep rolling forward. And then, yes, unfortunately, we're back to, yes, the upper right, the 30-year fixed mortgage is at about 7.8. And in fact, interestingly enough, Freddie Mac's running 7-day average has it at 7.04% for 30-year money. Now, this is super important to understand. Again, some people might say, oh my gosh, 7%, that's just crazy high. No, it's not. It's actually kind of normal. Anywhere between the mid to high sixes, low sevens, that is a good, healthy interest rate for everybody all the way around. Some people agree with me. Some people disagree with me. That's okay. It's America. We're all entitled to our opinion. But I look at it this way. A lot of folks are saying, hey, you know what? This is where it should be. We're not going to bobble, but maybe a little bit each and every day, each and every week. Right now, we've been in an upward trend. We'll be heading in a downward trend, for rates as we continue through. Hopefully, the Feds don't do any immediate drops. And you might say, George, we want the Feds to drop rates. And I'm like, no, you don't, because it has the inverse effect a lot of times. In fact, the last 3 times has had an inverse effect. Feds drop rates, mortgage rates have gone up. The Feds have to pay for debt. They can't just give free money. They have to get a return on the money that they lend to help pay debt. So we'll keep that in mind. And remember, Feds only control if you're getting a car loan, your credit cards, your HELOC or home equity line of credits, what banks lend to each other every day. What if you get a commercial loan for a commercial building or a business, that they control. Absolutely sure, we want to have the lowest rate humanly possible. Get that. However, understand the Feds only change their rates once every 6 weeks. Whereas mortgage rates, well, they go up and down every single day because they are tied to the stock market. In fact, it is, if you look at your bonds, mortgage-backed securities, you can see exactly what happens with mortgage rates because they are publicly traded. Moving on. So when we take a look at what's going to happen, let me blow that screen up for you here. All right. So when we take a look at what's happening as far as list to sales price, look at that. We're still the same year over year. From if we listed $100,000, what we're saying is we're selling at $97,000. That's the list to sales price ratio, and that is spot on for this time of year. However, look at this. Last year, we were at 43 days on market for an average, which again was a good market because rates had already been coming down since October. We're at 48 days today, or 5 days more, and that tends to give us a little bit of a not uncommon, but if you're overpricing your home, it's going to stay on the market longer. And in fact, if we take our 7-day running average and we blow this up, look, we've had 649 homes come on in the last 7 days, whereas the listing or the pended actually were 872. So in essence, we're taking still more homes off market than we are bringing on market. Buyers are still very active. Our solds are at 440, which again is a December number, or what went pended in December. And there we go. That's what we're seeing, and those numbers will continue to grow as we get to the end of the month. Now, if you look at the second line, back on market, we call that a buyer opportunity. Make sure that you keep that in mind, as there are other alternatives, especially, well, with interest rates going up and appreciation in our market. And in fact, there was a Seattle Times article by Heidi, I think it was Heidi Gooney. I will post the link. She actually did a fabulous job. Snaps for Heidi. She did a great job. I'll put the article down below. She took the information, the metrics, from the year. She compiled an article that was on target, meaning she took the metrics exactly as truly as they are. Didn't try and skew them any way to create sensationalism. She just reported, and the reporting itself is spot on accurate. It's a great article. Definitely shoot out to her at the Seattle Times. She just did a great job. That's my kudos to her. Anyway, I will post that and you guys can take a look at it and whatnot. All right, let's get back to our show here. All right, so we talked about the running 7-day average. So again, if you're looking for super accurate information other than Heidi's article, hey, just give us a heads up. Let us know that you like it. And this way we can go ahead and get out to as many people as possible. Here's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit about the average list price versus the average sold price. So when we pop this open, the average list price is about $38,000 less year over year. Now, granted, this is up to the 17th because, well, we're still young in 2025, but our sales prices, they're actually up by $69,000 year to date. When we take a look at just January year or month for the same month, we're actually, again, the same because, well, it's only the 17th of the month. However, if we look at it from last week, sales prices actually increased by $30,000. So $30,000 higher than what it was last week. And you might say, George, what the heck? Why is that important? Again, it starts to show you this trend, and you're going to see some of our metric stats that we go through each and every week. Okay, this is single family. This is not condos. Condos is a different report. In fact, if I was chatting with a lovely couple yesterday when we talk about condos in certain areas. And here's the funny thing. Condos are still doing okay. They have kind of taken a back seat. And the back seat, a lot of times when interest rates start to go up, yes, residential and condos tend to fall off, but people tend to side more with single family because of the perception of I've got my homeowner's dues, which is not a profit point for associations, which is hilarious. It's just you're prepaying each month for that future repair. Whereas with a house, you'll say, oh, you know what? I don't have to pay anything 5 years later. You're doling out, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 to paint your house. Whereas with a homeowners association with condos and townhomes, you pay that over a period of time. It's a little more palatable, except people look at it and say, oh my gosh, I have $700 a month homeowners dues. Well, yeah, that covers part of your paint, your roof. If you have any, maintenance, things like that have wear and tear and are ultimately going to need to be updated or repaired. Just saying, they're not the evil thing that a lot of people think they are. I'll get off my soapbox again. All right, moving on. So we come back here and then we start taking a look at the actual velocity of numbers, right? So we're going to take a look at the for sale, the new on market, solds, and pended. And when we dial this open, look at that. So again, remember the solds, which are up 15%, not only, month over month, but, year over year, because it's such a young year, right? It's only the 17th. You can see we're already up, basically about 200 homes. Pended are up, roughly about 400 homes, just shy of that. It's 380 homes-ish. But you can see that, at 20%, that's still a good positive direction. Okay. And what we're seeing here is that, yes, we have an increase in inventory. We have a modest increase, about 500 homes on new on market, which again is totally normal, especially when a market did not really slow down during December. So when we delve into new construction again and we talk about home builders and what they're doing and what is happening with the trend, the red line, as you see there, that is the sold. And as you see, they've been heading back in a upward trend. The green is homes available or list prices. And you can see that those have been, they went up, they came down, they were flattening out. So when we come over here, listen, here's the funny thing. Average list price, top line, is up about 6.7%. Was kind of surprised about that. I actually expected that to come down a little bit, but it didn't. It actually went up, for the same time frame. However, we saw a massive bump in the actual sales price of what happened. So last year, our average sales price was $870,000. This year, year to date, it's $1,148,000. Now, next month or next week, probably next month, actually, we're going to probably see that drop down just a little bit. Not unexpected, all things considered. So let's talk about volume. And this is kind of where this becomes on the a little bit of on the onset, a little bit of a, where the two are not in agreement with each other. So here we've got 27% increase, almost 28% increase in inventory. Only a few homes actually came on, about 14 or so. Difference between last year and this year. December sales, not unexpected. We had a great December. You can see those are up 11%. They did a really good job. That's, really only about 23 more homes, but nonetheless, they actually recouped really well for the year. But our pendants are struggling just a tad bit. I expected that number to be a little bit closer. Last year, we had 434 homes that went pended up to the middle of January. We're only at 406. Basically, what is that? 28, 26. There we go. Homes that are off. And so not a big deal, but I expect January to actually improve a little bit over what we saw last year. So month over month, we should see a better January, even though last year we had better rates. And the reason is we've had a number of new plats coming on. Yes, our plat pricing is still heading in an upward trend. If you haven't realized it, yes, we're seeing, in most areas, we saw about a 6 to 8% appreciation, depending on which pocket you were looking at last year. New construction, right on par with that, between 4 and 7%, depending on what area that you were in. And then, of course, taking into incentives. And we know for a fact almost all plats are offering incentives. And so the question is really what was the net real dollar at the end of the day? The key is we are turning inventory. We are keeping, pricing and momentum and absorption moving forward in a very healthy manner, which we expect to see all through the spring market. In fact, I think it's going to get a little bit more aggressive. All right. When we come back here, we open this back up again. We're going to head over and we're going to take a look at REO and bank-owned homes. So with that, here's our map. This is a snapshot of today, going all the way from Marysville, all the way down below Spanaway. And you can tell there's just not a lot there. And that is super important to understand. There's just not a lot there ever. Foreclosures in our area there are more fixers out there by far, probably by tenfold than there are bank-owned homes, REOs. And banks are going to take those. They're going to do pink carpet and vinyl. They're going to get those back on the market, and they're going to get market value for them. And in fact, our next screen is, as we take a look at this, look, sure, it says, oh my gosh, George, you're up 35% on inventory. Okay, that's 22 homes. That's through almost all of Washington State. And the rest of those are in the outlying areas. We technically had 3 more this year than we did last year. Yeah, whoop-de-ding-dong. Sales are down just a little bit, but then again, we didn't have that many to begin with. And then, of course, it says, hey, your pendants are up by 100%. Okay, yeah, so we had 12 last year. We have 24 this year. Again, super, super tiny numbers, insignificant numbers. When we talk about the average days on market, well, that's a little bit different, right? So we did see a little bit of a bump on that by 21 days. And a lot of that is because a lot of the banks out there are being too aggressive on price. The average sales price, that is a clear thing. And let me tell you a little bit about that. So last year we were at 99%. This year at 93%, which means, well, clearly they're overpricing their home. So this is super important for everybody out there that is considering putting their home on the market. For buyers, move-up buyers, new buyers, keep this in mind. A couple of folks that we're meeting later on today, if you're home and if you're looking at a home and you're on for 0 to 7 days and you go into contract, you are going to see between 100 and 107% of list price. That is going to get you the most amount of dollars and the least amount of time with the fewest hassles. The buyer gives the concessions. Sellers rarely give concessions during the first 7 days because you're getting a very aggressive buyer or buyers, and they're coming in and really competing and being aggressive. Okay, you miss that mark, however, and you go out to 20 days. All right, well, now you're only going to look at maybe 98, maybe 96% of list price. And now the seller is going to start giving concessions. And there are things that they're going to have to give up because now the buyer is in more of the driver's seat, as they say. So keep that in mind. Timeout market is directly proportional to the dollars that a seller is going to receive in the back of their pocket. Now, let's say you miss that point of 20 and you go from that to 40 days. Well, now you're only going to look at 92, maybe 93% of list price. Super important message there. Listen, for those sellers that think I'm going to push price, if you haven't figured it out, 7 days or less, I'm going to get the most amount of money. 20 days, I'm not going to get as much money. 40 days, I'm definitely giving up more. And those concessions, or if you have somebody who's an agent who's giving you this really, oh my gosh, I really love that number. That number's a really great number. That's called buying a listing. If it's inconsistent in the back of your head, right? You want it because it sounds good, but in the back of your head, nay, that that's not quite there. Listen, that's called buying a listing, and you're going to be stuck with price reductions or getting frustrated and canceled. That's why you see expired and canceled listings. And you need to look at, if you want the most amount of money, you have to look at pricing your home 0 to 7 days. Look, I'm just giving you these, I can prove these stats time and time again. And I do many times because I get asked by many sellers about this. And at the end, they're like, holy crap, you're right. I don't have to make it up. It's real, just like all of our metrics here. Anyway, if you have any questions, put them down below. Tell us what questions you have. Share this with a couple of people that you like and one person you don't like. Yeah, why not? Smash that subscribe button. In the meantime, it's an absolutely stunning day out there. Be safe. It is very cold, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.